The 2020 college football season persevered through the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving us with some memorable moments. Here are a few. Number 10, the Pac-12 switch. Winning enough games to get to your conference title game is the goal for any team, but Oregon got some help. The Washington Huskies were supposed to be playing USC for the title, but they couldn't due to COVID-19 issues. So it was 3-2 Oregon getting a shot to be Pac-12 champs as a last-minute replacement. And they ended up beating undefeated USC, winning their second straight Pac-12 trophy. Number 9, a GATOR BRAWL. Players definitely weren't social distancing in a matchup between Missouri and Florida when the Gators took exception to a high hit on their quarterback Kyle Trask just before halftime. The benches emptied in a brawl lasting nearly 2 minutes. Coach Dan Mullen left the field pumping up the crowd after the fight. He was fined $25,000 and 5 players were suspended. Number 8. Positive tests. The football season was turned upside down with notable names testing positive for COVID-19. First, Alabama coach Nick Saban tested positive, which turned out to be an error. But later in the season, he tested positive for real and missed coaching the Iron Bowl against Auburn. Star Trevor Lawrence also tested positive in November, missing 2 games that Clemson eventually split, a narrow win over Boston College and a loss in double overtime to Notre Dame. Number 7, the Mullets versus the Mormons. This phrase was displayed on shirts worn by Coastal Carolina fans, commemorating a last-minute matchup between undefeated teams. The Chanticleers were supposed to play Liberty, but after they couldn't compete because of COVID-19, they scrambled for another opponent. In came BYU, who gave Coastal Carolina all they could handle. But the game ended in wild fashion, with BYU coming up just a half-yard short of winning. Number 6, breaking tradition. The Army-Navy game is one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports. The game is usually held each year at a neutral location, but plans changed this year with the pandemic. The game was instead played at West Point for the first time since 1943. Army beat Navy 15-0 in a foggy game attended by President Trump. Number 5, breaking tradition, part 2. Speaking of rivalries, Ohio State and Michigan don't really like each other. Their yearly rivalry was canceled, like so many other games, due to COVID-19 this season. That put Ohio State under the threshold of games needed to be eligible to make the Big Ten championship, but the conference ended up making an exception, letting the Buckeyes go for the title after all. Number 4, who throws a shoe? During a tense game between LSU and Florida, things got weird when a Florida player ripped off an LSU player's shoe and threw it downfield in frustration. That caused a penalty, allowing LSU to move the ball ahead and eventually get into field goal range for the win, dashing the Gators' chances at making the college football playoff. Number 3, a chaotic finish. Ball State had a 3-point lead with 32 seconds to go. Western Michigan had the ball and on the last play of the game attempted a play full of laterals as time expired. Ball State recovered a fumble and rushed the field to celebrate a win, but Western Michigan still thought the play was alive and decided to pick up the ball and run through the traffic in the end zone, now thinking they won it. It created a lot of confusion, but it didn't matter. The refs flagged Western Michigan for an illegal forward pass, negating the score and giving the win to Ball State. Number 2, stop, then go. As the college football season hung in the balance with the threat of COVID-19, most Power 5 conferences marched toward the start of the season. But the Big Ten and the Pac-12 made ripples when they said that they would not be playing in the fall. As the season started without them, both conferences changed their mind and opted for an awkwardly late start. But hey, better late than never, right? And number 1, history. Sarah Fuller became the first female to play Power 5 football in the NCAA when she attempted a squib kick for Vanderbilt. She returned 2 weeks later to make 2 extra points, etching her name into sports history forever.